Hey everybody, back with a new review. This is a movie that is going to be released September 18th. So by the time you see this, it should be almost released or just have come out. Or it might have just have come out. And this movie is called Alone. And it's directed by John Hiams. He's done, I think, one of the Universal Soldier movies and a few other things. But this movie, although the title's pretty unoriginal, it's really a very solid, small, very pure thriller movie. All right, the main character in this is going to be Jessica, played by Jules Wilcox, and the main person she encounters is Man. He only goes by the name Man, you never know his name, and he's played by Mark Menchaca, I don't know how to say his name, but Mark Menchaca. He's been in a few things. I recognized him and I looked him up, and he's been in Homeland, I think, and Ozark, and he's one of those characters you might recognize but not be able to place him. So, basic concept is Jessica, at the beginning of the movie, you just see her packing up her car and her little trailer, and she's heading off and moving out of town. She lives in a big city, and I kind of tried to look up the locations of this. It looked almost like Seattle, but wherever it is, it's near a wooded kind of mountain environment. So by the time she drives away, she's pretty quickly in kind of the woods and the mountains, driving along in her car. Very quickly, she comes up behind another kind of a Jeep sort of a type of vehicle. It's going really slow. She tries to pass it. He speeds up. She ends up in the opposite lane and almost gets hit by an oncoming car and cuts him off. And then he comes up behind her and is following her. And it kind of becomes this kind of cat and mouse road rage situation for a few moments before he splits off from her, giving her a kind of a quick fright. Now, anyone who's seen Duel will recognize this, and I think it's a direct homage at the beginning of this to the beginning of Duel, because the way they kind of cat and mouse in their original interaction, kind of their driving road rage sort of a situation, is very similar to the very beginning interaction that Dennis Weaver has with the truck driver in Duel. And almost like Duel, when she first passes him, she can't even see really into his driver's window and see who it is that's driving this other car. She just sees the vehicle. But eventually that gets changed and you will meet the driver. So I'm not going to go into all the details because there's a lot of fun twists and turns in this. I will just say it's like I said, it's a very pure thriller. It doesn't mess around with a bunch of characterization. And the characters are fun in this, but they're not super, super deep. But it's the tension and the suspense that really is the star of this movie. Now, that being said, I will say that the main character of Jessica, played by Jules, really gets put through the ringer. And I guess the actress actually broke her foot in the making of this. So there's a point where her character's foot gets hurt. And they've kind of incorporated her limp and stuff. So it's a true limp that actually works within the dramatic situation that's presented in the movie. But kind of rewinding back, she has this original kind of road rage situation. And then very soon after that, the other car keeps reappearing to the point that she feels like she's getting stalked. And very early on, you will meet the guy. And I couldn't help but laugh because the actor and the way he's made up in this movie, like he's got his mustache and kind of short hair. He looks very nerdy almost, very friendly looking middle-aged guy, maybe a little geeky, like I said. I mean, he almost looks exactly like Ned Flanders. So through the whole movie, even though he plays it straight, and there's not really played for humor in this movie, it's played very, very serious, tense all the way through. I couldn't help but getting a level of humor by thinking that all the time that I was watching Ned Flanders, be this terrorizing kind of a stalking figure. That being said, I want to say one other actor that does make a short appearance, and I don't say how he appears, but he does appear, and that is the character actor Anthony Held. And I was very happy to see him. He plays a character named Robert in this, but if you don't recognize that name, you will recognize him as Dr. Chilton from The Silence of the Lambs. And when I saw him, I was like, whoa, he's older, but that is the guy. I love him so much in Silence of the Lambs, and he plays a really kind of a great small part in this movie. So, what I will say, the pluses of this movie are definitely the way that tension is built, and there's some really good set pieces and some really good scenes, and you can tell that the writer or John Hiams, the director, really has a good feel for what suspense is. So the idea of suspense isn't that you're shock scaring or surprising people. The idea of suspense is that you set up the situation, everyone knows what's going on, and then you slowly give people all the facts so that you know and you're worried about what's going to happen. There's a really great set piece. It's almost to the level of something you'd see in like a De Palma set piece too, where she's been kind of various times through the early part of this movie, keeps encountering this car and keeps encountering this guy. And you can tell she's getting increasingly creeped out by him, even though he's pretending to be just randomly showing up and a friend, and not a bad guy at all. But there's this one point where she's kind of at like a rest stop, and she's parked there and she's talking on the phone, and you kind of just have this pan around the whole rest stop, so you can see that there's a trucker there, there's another person there, and a person's going into the bathroom and coming out of the bathroom, and the whole time you're just kind of getting the lay of the land, and you know something's going to happen. And then of course the guy's truck shows up too, and pulls into the parking lot, and then just the way that the events slowly play out just is really a textbook example of how to do good, simple suspense. That being said, this movie is divided up into little pieces. So they have title cards that'll come up, and it'll start out with the road or the river or the clearing. And it's really kind of a nice way to kind of give chapters sort of to this movie. And that is another thing I really appreciated about it. In a movie like this, there's a point where something changes in the interaction between the man and the main woman, Jessica. And I thought, oh no, this is going to be the rest of the movie. And it wasn't. It kept changing. And the tense situations kept evolving. And I really appreciated that and enjoyed that. And it made the movie constantly interesting, never boring. And it also doesn't pull its punches. There's some pretty harsh scenes that play out, and they play out relatively realistically. I mean, there's always a level of disbelief in this, suspension of disbelief in this sort of a movie, but overall it's pretty believable. People get hurt. They aren't superheroes. These are actual humans. The good guys and the bad guys. No one's kind of unstoppable. So that makes it really great. And I will say later on, there's kind of a monologue, sort of a moment with the main guy, the main man guy, that is one of the more amazing villain moments I've seen in quite a while, and I really loved it. And once again, I don't want to tell you exactly what it is, but it was really, really effective. That being said, the only negative to this is it's not super original. I mean, you've seen versions of this movie before, but this is a pretty darn good version. And like I said, you can compare it to Duel or Road Games, another older kind of a cat and mouse road movie, or The Hitcher. That's another real well-known one. Also, there's elements of Deliverance, a little bit of that in here. If anything, it knows that those influencers are there. Like I said, it kind of plays off them and lets you know that it knows. It's not pretending to be super original. It's just saying, hey, this is a tense situation. This person's in it. Are they going to be able to get out of it? And what's going to happen? And who's going to get hurt? Who's going to survive? That kind of a thing. You could have a lot of fun watching this movie, especially if you like thrillers, especially if you like kind of cat and mouse, survival, good guy versus bad guy kind of a movie. Would be right up your alley. And I would say it has a really satisfying finale as well. So I was very pleasantly surprised by this movie throughout. So check out Alone. Oh, by the way, I would say the only really big drawback is the title. The title is very unoriginal, and it really should have a better title than that to catch people's eyes. Even just searching for Alone in 2020 on IMDb, I mean, there's several that came up. So once again, I hopefully, maybe down the line, I guess it's too late probably, I wish they would have changed their name. My dream humorous version of the name would be O'Killy Dokilly, but I don't think they're going to want to go with that, considering this movie isn't really playing off of the Ned Flanders line. But I can't help but enjoy that side of it and have kind of a funny, dark, humorous version of this movie in my head as I'm watching it. Anyway, hopefully somebody finds some value in that and enjoys the movie Alone. And I will be back with another review soon.